Outstanding. Welcome in to Says Who Sports. I'm your host, John Dauphin. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk a better game. And by the way, and as always, the Says Who Sports theme song there, written and recorded by the Hook and Ladder Band, HNLband.com, for your musical needs. They can hit the note for you. It is episode 7, the first week of May. Insanity. We are rolling strong out of the gate. This train is rolling strong with the guests, and always all for you, trying to bring the value for you. It is our mission at Says Who Sports. Last episode, published a couple of days ago. Go watch and listen as soon as we're done here. You won't be sorry. Was a conversation with Kent DeSormo. It is Derby week, the big Kentucky Derby week, and we'll talk about Kent DeSormo, the Hall of Fame jockey, 3-time Kentucky Derby winner, talking all things Derby, what it's like to be at the controls of the 1,000-pound 40-mile-an-hour animal in a pack, heel to heel, what that feels like to win the Derby, let alone 3 times, what it's like in the jockey's room, minutes in the lead up to the Derby. His great successes has won 6,000 plus races in his career. And as strong as that is, and you'll hear Kent share it, poignant, powerful moments, he said he should have won double that. I asked him why. He said alcohol. He was brutally honest about his personal challenges. He is rising to meet them, and we're thankful to Kent for sharing. You got to see it and hear it. Says Who Sports YouTube channel, and as always, Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. And keep those 5-star reviews coming. Saw a few of those, and I say, why not? 5 stars. If not us, who? No arrogance there. Supreme confidence, I don't know about that. Just a strong belief. How about that? But if you don't agree, you don't agree, and then you've probably tuned out. Anyway, last week, Gary Palmisano Jr., the guest, Executive Director of Racing at Churchill Downs, Inc. Gary shared great perspectives on Churchill Downs, Inc. and their work to balance the growth and expansion, the customer experience at the Derby, with staying true to the rich heritage of the hallowed Churchill Downs. Check that out. And our special guest on this episode is the voice of the Kentucky Derby on NBC. Coverage starts at 2:30 Saturday. The voice of the Kentucky Derby for the 14th consecutive year, Larry Comas will be on the call for NBC. Coverage begins at 2:30 on Saturday. Ours is not tired slop media approach of tapping the same old non-story like, did you hear what this coach or player or sports media member said about this other coach, player, or media member? Man, they called each other out. You won't believe it. Come check out this pablum. What? Or any mix and match combo of those. It's bad. Where is the value there? Nowhere. We think you deserve better. And that we includes my frequent co-host, Phil Dauphin. Phil, what's on your mind, sport?
I am doing fantastic. And what's on my mind right now, John? Kentucky Derby. As you mentioned, Kentucky Derby week. Let's go.
Derby.
Let's go.
Let's go, Phil. Absolutely. Days away is the Derby. I will be locked in for all of it, including our friend Larry Comas on the call for NBC. Phil, last week was wall-to-wall NFL draft. This was actually a headline from a major sports media player. Speaking of slop, it's everywhere all the time. Blasted all over television while a couple of draft analysts frantically tried to break down what it all meant. Kirk Cousins signed to a big contract this offseason, as we know, Phil, the presumable starting quarterback for the Falcons, right? Was, according to Kirk's agent, quote, frustrated and confused. Frustrated and confused that the Falcons selected Michael Penix, the quarterback from the Washington Huskies. Phil, frustrated and confused? What am I missing?
I'm missing the same thing, John. So frustrated and confused is what was put out there, right?
Frustrated and confused. Kirk was hurt, and he was reeling, Phil.
I would like to be his reeling, John. If he's reeling, I would like that reeling. You can bring it to me.
Me too. Absolutely, yeah. Phil. Yes, Kirk Cousins' version of reeling would be would be okay. Phil, frustrated and confused. That describes, what do you think? Any given day, about a third of typical American workers at the office or the factory, when they get the word that, oh, guess what? Something or somebody called competition. Hello, Kirk, competition. Hello, Kirk's agent, competition. And again, no disrespect, nothing personal, just hard to understand. Hurt or confused and frustrated, competition being brought in, and we'll take a spot right next to you. Hello, Phil, frustrated and confused. What planet are we on? Big time football or local factory worker? What am I missing?
John, I get confused and frustrated walking to the printer. That's on mornings for me. I get frustrated and confused. And sometimes I'm reeling. How about that?
Yeah. And you're missing maybe 4 zeros. 4 of Kirk Cousins' zeros. 4 or 5. I don't know. Some zeros for sure. But
yeah,
can you say, Kirk, marketplace? The marketplace. Doesn't matter if it's hundreds of millions, Phil, as an NFL quarterback or a person working the food line at pick a food manufacturer. Same principle. I hope Kirk Cousins' frustration and confusion wears off soon, Phil. We must pray.
I will certainly pray. Maybe we'll pray together.
Let's pray
it wears
together.
Off soon. Sure.
Exactly. Let's plan a praying session for Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
It's
Absolutely.
called competition, and frankly, your employer, in this case, Kirk, a billionaire owner, frankly, is not obligated to tell you or your agent a damn thing. And you know, is that the way of it typically? I don't know. I'm not there. Is that the way of it sometimes? Obviously, absolutely. But the owner is, you know, he's working for his team, his club. He's making his moves. He's not obligated to share that. They can, the club, right, Phil? They can make 2 moves at the same time.
It could make 3, 4, and 5 moves at the same time if they want.
Right.
And that owner, by the way, I think he knows a little bit about business and how to grow something. So
Absolutely.
He's good. Yeah.
Well said on Arthur. And they can tell you, Kirk, they're so glad to have you when they sign you to that big deal. And together, you'll make great moves and all that. And then send you away smiling and make a phone call within minutes to bring in your replacement. Again, Phil, what are we missing? To me, it's always been called the marketplace.
Yeah, it's competition. It lifts everyone up.
It lifts everybody.
I shouldn't say everyone.
No.
Most people. Some become
some
frustrated and hurt.
Yeah. Become frustrated, shrink from it, bitter by it, and just say, F it, I'm done. And then, you know, the person they brought in has said competition, takes the gig and doesn't look back. But that thing, Phil, of wait, I've been a loyal worker for 25 years, but you hired me to run the big department, not so-and-so. What's happening? How can you do that to me, they say, Phil? You said I was your only love. 2 words, wake up. Am I missing something, Phil? Are we?
No,
Just
no.
confirming.
I I don't feel as if I'm missing anything, and I don't feel as if you're missing anything. So maybe if one of our listeners wants to email, maybe we are missing something.
Maybe we are missing something. Yes, we invite your thoughts, clarifications, challenges, attaboys, any and all of the above. As always, at sayswhosports@yahoo.com. sayswhosports@yahoo.com. I told Kim, my beautiful wife, Phil knows, I told Kim a couple of days ago, Phil, I said, I'm going to start singing. Actually, I already started, and then she picked up very quickly. I was singing statements, singing responses. Are we going to dinner? And at first it was like, what are you doing? And then, we kind of got a groove going with it, but it makes you feel good.
Did she reciprocate with the singing?
She did.
Yeah, that's nice.
Where do you want to go? Etc.
That's nice.
But, just on the fly, just kind of singing the verbiage, and it does make a person feel good. Maybe not extended, but a little bit. Can't hurt.
Well, even hearing it from somebody, your beautiful wife Kim, hearing it from her, right? Talk about lifting up people, right? It does make you feel good. It's a beautiful. I might start doing that. I might start singing statements.
Right.
I think Lisa.
Right.
I think
Feel
Lisa.
free.
Lisa would maybe hit me not with a frying pan, hit me with something, and ask me what I'm doing. And
So you
please
might
stop.
want to at least think it through, Phil. Think it through before you go for it. Keep me posted. Definitely, we don't want any violence. We don't want any issues. No. Nothing but good vibes with the singing there. Hey, Phil. So NFL draft is done, and I was, as you know, in Detroit for some business, draft-related business. And think Jerry Maguire, back to Lee Steinberg, right? One of our recent guests, the one and only Lee Steinberg, agent for Patrick Mahomes, agent for everybody. Back to Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Warren Moon, all the great ones. Most top picks ever still holds that record. Lee Steinberg does among agents, certainly in the NFL. So back to Lee Steinberg, Phil, and Jerry Maguire, the movie on which Lee was a consultant, and Tom Cruise's character, Jerry Maguire, based in many ways on Lee. But the NFL draft is insanity in terms of the power, the ratings, the interest, off the charts. What I saw in Detroit, and I was there for the day and night of the first round. Business was done, Phil. Again, back to Jerry Maguire. Hotel lobbies, hotel bars. Oh, there's so-and-so. Oh, hello. Boom, boom, boom. And then boom, boom, boom. And then numbers exchanged and texts, etc. And business being done. Saw a lot of it. Participated in some of it. But overwhelmingly, what I saw in Detroit was, and I mean this in a good way, scary. I mean scary. It left, and I knew this, and we all know it, if you pay attention to ratings and the overwhelming dominance of the NFL, right, Phil, in terms of primetime programming, the highest rated shows of all kinds, all put together, entertainment, overwhelmingly, it's the NFL and then a few scraps. Well, what I saw in Detroit, just people on the streets, waiting, and I took some footage of this. I will share this. Insane lines, the length of which I have no idea. And everybody with obviously a hometown Lions jersey, the Dolphins. I met people that had flown in from Miami, Patriots fans, Falcons fans. Speaking of Falcons, Eagles dude, there's an Eagles fan that I think has gone, Phil, that what's that word? Viral a few times. He's got the mohawk cut through. He's got the full face on, intense look. He is a die-hard Birds fan, die-hard Eagles fan. And he was there, and he was making the most of it. But The power of the NFL. That's what I'm saying. The NFL is, and I saw it all in person. We knew this anyway. The NFL is King Kong. Done. King Kong. Other professional sports in the United States, Phil, NBA, postseason. Major League Baseball, World Series. Hell, they can't even get their top teams to the World Series because of this nonsense playoff format. So who's going to tune in for that? We'll see what you do again, Dodgers. How many years can you do this in a row? But I got off track. But Phil, NFL, King Kong, all other American professional sports, and I'm including college football, which you and I know is a big property, does strong ratings, love college football. NHL playoffs, die hard, love it, love the NHL postseason, that hammering to the cup finals, but it all falls short to the NFL, Phil. King Kong, the NFL.
Yeah, that's King Kong, absolutely.
Unbelievable, and them moving, deciding to take that carnival on the road, right? From New York to everywhere. Detroit this year. Was it Cleveland last year? If it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago, right? Cleveland. But
yeah,
the moving it market to market was brilliant. What a brilliant move. And everywhere you looked were people with fat bags of merch in their hands, Phil. Guys, ladies, everybody. Hell, I looked at some stuff. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it in terms of buying merch. But it was a machine. The NFL is a machine. And Detroit solidified that for me.
It's a walking cash register is what it is. It's unbelievable. Let me ask you something, John. As far as the NFL draft, do you think that the players nowadays that are getting to walk up on that stage and then embrace Commissioner Roger Goodell, do you think that's something they look forward to in terms of the actual embrace? Right? And I understand he's welcoming all of these guys to the league, right? But do you think there are some players that would be fine with maybe a fist bump or maybe just a quick pat on the shoulder? Or is it that embrace that says, you're here, you made it? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think much of it is the PR photo op thing. Welcome to the league. Arms around, love ya. Top pick, top 5, top 10, first round pick. Hug, hug, smile, smile, picture, picture. Send you away. God help you. God help you, because Goodell, and I love this part, Phil, that as we know, if anybody's paid attention via TV or attended NFL draft coverage, right, we know this has been going on for years, they love to boo Goodell. So the boos come raining down, ooh, and Goodell loves it. I mean, you think that guy cares? He smiles all the way to fat bank accounts. Ooh, he's going to be bummed if you boo. He loves that. He relishes that, right, Phil? But I love that there are people standing there. Here's the beautiful contradiction, Phil, the beautiful irony. There are people, and again, massive lines, thousands and thousands and thousands of people just to get into one particular entrance, to get into the fan experience, and then get over and kind of be parked. How about this, Phil? Location-wise, might be one thing if you were, let's say, within 30 to 50 yards of the stage. Let's say that, and that's even a tough one, right? For most people. No thanks. Yeah. But there were people, and you could see the camera shots if you saw the first round of the draft last Thursday night, seemed to be 3 football fields away. At least 200 yards. I'm going to guess 3. Absolute insanity. Jammed elbow to elbow. And Phil, back to the Goodell thing. All of them. When Goodell takes the stage, boo, 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 boo. But guess what? With their other hand, and they're doing this, they're waving them down, and their other hand can't be raised. because it's clutching a big bag full of NFL merch. Hello, hello, contradiction there. Come on, NFL's king. Roger Goodell is a king, and has he made moves? Has the NFL made questionable moves or been hit with some tough PR in, I don't know, recent years? Yeah, of course, but you go see that thing in Detroit and see what I saw, or what any of us saw tuning in last Thursday night on TV. It's not deterring anybody. Anybody. Phil, you and I, how many times have you and I lamented, and I mentioned it to Lee Steinberg, right? Speaking of the Lee Steinberg visit, lamented the lack of being able to see, as I called it with Lee. He smiled. He knew. Bone crushers, as I called it with Lee. John Lynch. I mean, delivering blows that most did not get up from. Wobbled to the sidelines, and who knows how many games they were out. But we've lamented, quarterbacks not taking punishment like all those greats we saw growing up. And safety, great thing, as we know. I mean, certainly not an opponent of making the game safer. But at the same time, Phil, doesn't a quarterback have to get blasted? We're talking about football, big time, violent football, especially NFL, top level of all levels. Shouldn't a quarterback get blasted? But it's all about the stars, and the quarterbacks are the stars, right? Got to keep them in the game.
It's all about keeping them upright, keeping them healthy. But one of our previous episodes, we were talking with the fabulous Gene Steratore, and we were talking about Ray Lewis and just that intensity. I know there are a lot of quarterbacks, I'm sure, that are happy Mr. Ray Lewis is not able to do, if he was playing today, what he was able to do prior, right? Just blasted quarterbacks, blasted running backs. But it's the quarterbacks that they're protecting now. They're protecting them.
Well said, Phil. Absolutely right. And I guess that's just, it's kind of like goes back to that thing. If you don't like it, meaning whomever viewer, then don't attend games or don't watch. I do lament the quarterbacks seemingly just max protected. Here comes a flag, there's a flag, there's a flag. Don't you even look at Mahomes or there's a flag.
Yep.
Count on it, Phil. Don't you look at him, Phil. We're pulling the laundry.
Look away.
15 big ones for you. Don't you look at Mahomes. We'll tell you when you can look at Mahomes or pick a star quarterback. Anyway, Phil, at the draft, I happen to have the wonderful fortune, a terrific hotel set up in the midst of everything, and across from the hotel was the glorious Nemo's. And you know how we have talked on the last couple of episodes on the sports bar thing. Nemo's in Detroit is amazing. Been there since 1965. And no sports bars in their name. Nemo's. Yet everything inside said killer sports bar. Memorabilia that would rival most. Including, Phil, a great shot. You know how you mentioned, even if less is more, and you go with, instead of silly pennants or weird colored jerseys of your favorite local university, etc., if you and I talked about this, you mentioned if you just had a few pics of, the owner with Pete Rose, with whomever, well, Nemo's not only had pictures with the amazing Mike Ilitch, Little Caesars, Detroit Red Wings, multiple big assets, but Mike Ilitch brought the Stanley Cup into Nemo's. And forgive me, I don't recall the year, but the pictures were amazing, and a bunch of signed pics, and there's the Stanley Cup, Phil, on the bar in Nemo's. That's instant cred, right? Forever.
Yeah, it is instant cred. Absolutely. How beautiful is that? And that's what we've been talking about, right? That is beautiful. Let me go back to Nemo's, John. Was there quality merchandise as well? Did they have T-shirts? Did Nemo's have any T-shirts?
That's a tough question. Now, damn it, you're going to burst the bubble. I don't appreciate it. Because the short answer, from what I saw, because I was interested, I took a look, and the short answer is,
Really?
The T-shirts were simple. The Nemo's logo on the upper left chest. I didn't see what was on the back. I mean, simple, solid, since 1965, I believe, again. But one feel, and I did, just end of the bar, one feel, said, I can't put that stuff on. I can't do it. So, no.
So
maybe I didn't see something, Phil.
I'm hoping maybe you just missed it. I'm hoping it was somewhere, in a corner, some nice quality T-shirts, just as we've talked about. Just tri-blend. Just give me some nice quality T-shirts. These are quality. These are nice.
These are quality, nothing but.
Yeah.
For me, always tri-blend or bust.
Hey, John,
Tri-blend or bust.
Was Nemo? Was it packed? Was it just?
Yes, another great question. It was jammed, and again, Phil, this was late afternoon on Thursday, day of the first round. Fans had flown in from everywhere. In fact, sitting next to me at the bar as I ate and we'll get to that, Phil. We've talked about keeping that food menu simple. A Nemo's burger is what you get. You can look around and don't even think about they did it out of kindness. And I say they shouldn't have even done that, but I get it. I guess some people just body-wise, you got to have another option from the incredible ground round at Nemo's. Those burgers, crushers, amazing. I'm not talking big, thick, this tall. No, solid little amazing burger. But yeah, on the menu there were a few other options: a black bean burger, and a, what do they call it, Phil? Oh, I can't even say it. I can't even think of going into Nemo's since '65 and sitting at that bar. Order up your cold one or whatever your version of that is. I'd like one of these Beyond burgers. The fake beef. Thank you. Yes, fake beef.
Yeah, no, thank you. No,
Phil,
thank you.
I think not only no thank you, don't you think in general, there's always exceptions, don't you think in general, somebody, I don't say security, but they don't even need security. People keep themselves in line. It's Nemo's. Have respect. Respect the brand, the institution, the staple of Detroit sports. But you ought to be tossed. Would you have a problem being tossed, Phil? If you made the mistake, I don't know, you lost your mind for a minute, and you're like, well, I've always loved their burgers. This time, they're ground round. This time I'm going to go, you know what, John? I'm kind of feeling like a Beyond Burger. And then you place the order. What do you think, Phil? Within a few minutes, nothing said, couple big paws on you. You're being moved quickly off your bar stool and hastened out the door and just kind of, you're not getting back in. Would you understand if it were you that they booted?
Oh,
if you ordered a Beyond Meat.
I would understand, but I would also like it as that person is being escorted out the door. If a couple of people just picked it up, maybe flipped it to the other one, turn a double play, throw it hard at that person's back head. Boom. And just let it kind of slide down. That's what should happen. Yeah.
I love it, Phil. Yeah, why not add that insult? So you're saying, wow, not only you're stamping approval on the removal, on the removal, you're saying turn the DP, fire that Beyond whatever meat thing into the back of the neck? Because it's not going to hurt much. It might sting a little, more soggy than anything, right?
It's not going to hurt, but just have that, maybe the nape. Get the nape of the neck.
The nape of the neck. Beyond.
And then just slide down with those sick juices that those Beyond Burgers have, and stain a shirt. So you're hitting them in the nape, of the neck, and then you're staining their shirt as well.
Yeah.
That's what they should, yeah. They should be subject to that. Why not?
I'm with you all the way, Phil. And I'm guessing that shirt that you're talking about staining sure as hell ain't a tri-blend. It's not comfortable. It's probably pretty bad, so it deserves some, you know what? Petri dish juices, Phil. Don't they, again, I'm sorry, and if you have input, if you oppose this, if you say, man, I love a Beyond Meat or a Beyond Burger, forgive me.
Plenty of people do. Sure.
Many do. And if that's diet-wise, if that's what you can tolerate, well, that's understood. We're not talking about the exceptions here, health-wise. We're talking about just somebody losing their mind. And, well, I've always done these amazing ground round, the Nemo's burger staple. I'm going to go Beyond Meat today. Out. And out with authority. Boom. Like you said, turn the DP off the back of the neck. Bad T-shirt stained. You know what that, Phil? You know what that's think twice time. Guaranteed on their return.
Yes,
it'll be a Nemo's burger with that ground round, but an amazing place. And you and I love this so much. I mean, you want to talk about the killer sports bar vibe. Again, they don't have sports bar in their name. They don't have to. They've been in the middle of it. They acquired true school buses, Phil, multiple true school buses, refurbished, painted them in Nemo colors, and they shuttle people, fans, their loyal generations of fans, they shuttle at Nemo's to Wings games, to Tigers games, to Ford Field for the Lions, and those that don't go are back at the bar or a table bellied up with a cold one, and guess what? A Nemo's burger ground round. But Phil, on the wall, the framed Detroit Free Press, amazing, glorious days of the newspaper. The Scotty Bowman, the wings of Scotty Bowman, bringing home so many cups. The Tigers of our beloved Sparky Anderson bringing it home. The Pistons back to back, Phil. The Lions bringing it home. Not yet. Dan Campbell, etc. The amazing Chris Spielman, special assistant to the owner, I believe still has been. Talk about a quintessential, we'll say, Detroit Lion, Chris Spielman.
Yeah.
What a Lion he was. But they don't have hardware yet. Not yet. But the others have, right?
Yep. Lions they're moving that way, right? They're moving that way. We'll see.
Are they, Phil? What's your, for a moment, what is your vibe on the Lions? We've seen so many times, and you don't know, right? They've built the club, great draft picks. They've brought in others to fit from a character perspective, from a work ethic perspective, obviously from a skill perspective. All positions, Dan Campbell. And you know they're never going to lack tenacity. They're going to keep coming. They will not sit and you're going to have to give it everything you got to beat Dan Campbell's Lions. But Phil, what do you foresee? Some may say, well, okay, they take the step up this year. They not only win, they get back to that NFC championship game, they win it, they go to the bowl, all that. Or do you see them, again, for whatever reason, key injury, and you don't want to wish anything. You hope that it's all the good stuff. But do you see them getting it done in the fall?
I don't know. I do not know. I could throw something out there and say absolutely. You know what? They're going to the Super Bowl. Here is what I do know.
Gee, Mr. Spicoli, will you pass this class?
I don't
know. Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know. All of that for an I don't know.
Here's what I do know.
We need emails about that. That's probably the worst thing you've said.
Stay with me on this. Stay with me.
Okay.
I'm not going to just throw something out. I really like the cornerbacks are solid, and I think their offensive lines. No, I'm not throwing that.
I'm not
out.
asking for that. I said, do they get it done?
I don't know. But here's what I do know, and this is where I was going. Our late Uncle Andy and his love
Andy.
for the Lions and that rubbing off on us from watching the Thanksgiving games to loving the city of Detroit, the Detroit Lions. That's where the pull is for me, right? That's where the pull. So, am I hoping they get it done? Absolutely. Do I think they will? I'll go back to. I don't know.
Did I just fall? I just took a mini nap right there. About a 2-minute nap, power nap times, lightning speed. Took a 2-minute power nap. So do they get the, well, I don't know. And then this could go here and whatever. And Uncle Andy. Now,
let me ask you, John. Do you
brought
think
up
they
Uncle
get it done?
Andy. Can I respond to Uncle Andy?
Well, sure. Go ahead. And then I want to get an answer to this question.
Uncle Andy and his Tigers. We'd see him at our grandparents, Grandma and Grandpa Dolphin's house. And he'd be fired up drinking that Stroh's beer. Already have maybe 5, 6 in him, just celebrating life. Loved sports, loved his Detroit, from Clawson, baby. Hard-working people in Clawson, Detroit, Michigan, forever. And, that definitely influenced us as little kids talking Lions, especially because we'd be there sometimes at Thanksgiving, and the Lions, when we grew up, not so much now, it's far from automatic now in the last, I don't know what, couple decades, maybe I'm wrong. The Lions used to, it seemed, I'm going back a ways, dominate on Thanksgiving. You did not mess with the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. And then it was many years of not so much. It was a lot of this or sinking, bad performance. So I agree. His influence on us, Lions, Tigers, the old school Tigers, home unis. Oh, and those road unis with the gray with the Detroit block lettering. Phil, I would say this about the Lions more than anything for me. And I shared this with some Detroit locals who had come back home. Couple that live in Miami. Young married couple, just married, great people, sitting near me, and we talked about the Lions. And my first suggestion was, and he quickly agreed. Young man, but he quickly agreed. The Detroit Lion classic helmet in uni is, for me, all day. This version, and again, no disrespect, this version of the Lion helmet, the electric blue, the whole different thing. And they're not alone. So many teams, I'd say the bulk of teams in the NFL have gone that way in some respect, but don't care for it. And again, everybody has their flavor. I do not care for the recent years version of the Lions jersey and helmet. Give me the classic. You've seen my classic Detroit Lions with the kicker helmet with the one thin face bar, Phil. Detroit Lions classic jerseys and helmets. Big fans we are to bring it home on Detroit. Nemo's go. And by the way, Phil, a block. Oh, it's painful to consider. Talking about this Detroit history, sports history. A block from the old, at Michigan and Trumbull, the old Tiger Stadium. It is but a memory now. Comerica, Phil. Comerica. But the old Lion jerseys and helmets is where it is. And I say, here you go. I'm going to give you my thing. If the Lions will follow me and bring back the old school, I'm talking like late 70s, even into the 80s, like Barry Sanders wore, and way before. Chris Spielman, as we said, and before. Bring those back. Get the helmets that they used to have back. Then I'm going to tell you this. We're riding Super Bowl, baby. Detroit to the bowl. If you bring back the classic unis. If you don't,
the helmets back.
Then we come all the way back to Phil's. I don't know. Who knows? They could win it all, right, Phil? And they could not make the playoffs. And you say, that's nonsense. How many times have we seen this? We assume they will be strong again, maybe stronger than last year, which would mean a visit to the Super Bowl. We'll see.
I'm with you on the classic helmets and the unis, but just classic. Ugh. I want to go buy one. I want to go buy one right now. I may wear it on the next episode. Yeah,
they're harder and harder to find, but they are out there.
Yep.
And Detroit fans, if you have a lead on that, a suggestion, says Who Sports at Yahoo, we'll be all over it on quality, classic Lions merch. Tigers too, for that matter. Love those old school logos. So yeah, Phil, we talked last time about mustard, and we got on the riff. It originated with a couple episodes ago with mustard mayo, and we talked about that. Not mustard versus mayo, just mustard and mayo and ballparks and all that. And then I had mentioned stadium mustard. We said mayo at the ballpark, it just doesn't compute. It's mustard. A burger, okay, but especially on a dog. And we talked about, and I mentioned stadium brand mustard, authentic stadium mustard, I think they call it, at Cleveland. I think I said Indians, and I may have mentioned, and we talked about the Jake, but began, right, Phil, as stadium mustard at the old Brown Stadium, Municipal Stadium. What a hallowed venue that was. Some might say scary, but many such great memories there. But that is where authentic stadium mustard originated, I believe. And Phil, it was made, and Clevelanders will know this, so please feel free to correct, send emails. Can't wait to read them, and we will read them to the audience and we'll respond. But Bertman's original ballpark mustard, which is, I believe now, the go-to at what you and I will always call Jacobs Field, at Tribe games, right, Phil? We're not saying
Yes.
Guardians. We're saying Tribe and Indians games at Jacobs Field. Are we together on
Tribe
that?
and Indians at Jacobs Field, absolutely.
Right. So at Tribe games, Indians games at Jacobs Field, it became and remained Bertman's. But I believe that the authentic stadium mustard, the person who started that, who went his own way to start it, was a sales rep. I believe this is right. Generally it is. Was a sales rep for the Joseph Bertman Company, which made that unique brown mustard that they love. We all love so much. So it was Bertman's and then authentic stadium mustard, Phil, and there was conflict in the family. And Phil, then there was a parting of the ways over the mustard, over the brown mustard, Phil.
Really?
Yes.
It was always my belief that the authentic stadium mustard was the first mustard, right? And right there in Cleveland, the first mustard at the ballpark.
Yes.
So there was a parting of the ways, and it is now in Cleveland at Tribe or Indians games.
Yes, Tribe or Indians games at, Phil, we'll say Jacobs Field.
In Jacobs Field.
Yeah.
It is Bertman's mustard that is throughout the concourses?
Yes. I'm going with
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
They do not have, I could be wrong again. Last week I thought it was, or last episode, excuse me, I thought it was authentic stadium mustard. Is that Browns games only at the other stadium? And we're going to just call that Cleveland Browns Stadium. Always.
Yeah.
Forget naming rights, any of that. Cleveland Browns Stadium, or Municipal Stadium as it was, in the day for the Browns and Indians, right? Way back in the day. And we will be talking about the glorious 10-cent beer night. The 50th anniversary approaches, and boy, we got you covered. We'll talk about that soon. But yeah, the Joseph Bertman Company, I believe, Phil. Joseph Bertman was the guy. Rest in peace. The original ballpark mustard. And I think the person who started the company parted ways with them, some bitterness, and started the company that produced or produces authentic stadium mustard. There was a falling out of sorts, Phil. Some bad mustard blood.
Wow. Wow. No idea with that background on it. No idea. So good job by you.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, right, mustard. Because you and I know, and we've said, and we've enjoyed it so many times together at ballparks everywhere over decades, that the right mustard, and in this case, gosh, do I say Bertman's original ballpark mustard? Do I say authentic stadium mustard? Cleveland fans, just give me a little room here, okay? Okay, just a little room, because I'm going to say this, that either of those on a dog at the ballpark, I won't say baseball because it's heating up, baseball park is going to take your dog to heaven. Right, Phil? It's going to take your ballpark dog to heaven. Bertman's Authentic Stadium Mustard. And Phil, Authentic Stadium Mustard then went on to, and I believe they're proud, as you would expect, to mention that they now are sold in, and each of them has a retail presence. Each of those brands has a presence in specialty stores, strong presence at retail, especially Northeast Ohio. And ironically, and Phil, I'm sorry, I got to share this with you because I thought of this. I thought Phil is not going to be happy hearing this. Ready for this, Phil? And in fact, Cleveland fans, this is tough, and maybe this is going to have you take a second look at each of these brands. But neither, Phil, neither of them, I believe this is the case, is any longer produced in Cleveland or Northeast Ohio. Phil.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's so wrong. That battle, their place in the fabric of Cleveland sports. You got the Bertmans, original ballpark mustard. You have authentic stadium mustard. We love Cleveland sports more. No, we do. We deserve it. No, we do. The fighting, the bad mustard blood, and then guess what, Phil?
And neither one of them is produced in Cleveland now.
Right. Not now. I believe, Phil, this could get worse. I know it was, and I believe it still is, that the authentic stadium mustard, Phil, is produced, ready for this, in Illinois. And Bertman's original ballpark mustard, Phil, I believe is produced in Southern Ohio. What?
Yeah. It's not right, John. That's not right. It's not right at all. Terrible.
No. And, again, stand to welcome any updates to that. The mustard
Absolutely.
parting of the ways, the history there, what's happened in recent years. Maybe one of them has moved back to and is producing in Northeast Ohio now. But you can't even keep your manufacturing facility up there. You gotta, I don't know, Phil. I'm not a Cleveland fan. I have a lot of respect for their clubs, their teams, and for the intensity, the love that their fan base has for said teams. Don't forget the Cavs. But you got to take a second look. Before you pledge your allegiance to one or the other, you got to know, and you likely do know if you care about your mustard. What's going on that dog? Yum, yum, yum. I love it so much. It's made in Illinois. It's made in Southern Ohio. It's not.
That makes you want to stop. Makes you want to stop chewing. That's
exactly,
what it does.
Phil.
You,
and just
you
maybe,
realize that it's Yeah.
Toss
So,
it.
It's great. Apologize.
Yeah.
I've got ambitious
going on
mower
there?
out there. Ambitious mower that's opening and closing a gate outside of here, and it's I think he's got some aluminum foil or something with him because he's crinkling some stuff.
Yeah, just for about 10 seconds there, it sounded like mayhem, like a possible safety thing. Like I thought you were going to say, hey, call, if I need to make a call for a squad run, let me know. But it sounded
I got
like
worried
mayhem.
for a second, but it's okay. I'm good. I think he's done. Hopefully. Hey,
Gotcha.
so somebody out working. He's out there working.
Yes.
More
Do you
power
think,
to
Phil,
him.
great point by you. Do you think that hard-working, we'll assume, landscaper would be shocked and confused, would be hurt and in disbelief if landscape company owner said, here's your competition, you're going to work with them for a week or two, and he's probably going to replace you. But what? It's called Marketplace. Back to Kirk Cousins. Shocked and hurt, shocked and confused, stunned and confused.
Frustrated, confused,
Frustrated.
reeling.
Thank you.
Reeling. Yeah.
Reeling. Yeah, Phil. I mean, come on there. Last note, flavor note on the Bertmans and Stadium Mustard, Phil. Stadium Mustard came strong and took the hammer down and said, we don't use sugar in ours like
Whoa.
the other guys, Bertmans. They said, we use only brown mustard seed, no sugar, like no fillers. Bertmans, Phil, said, no worries, diabetics. There's not much sugar. And by the way, they threw this one at him, Phil. By the way, Stadium Mustard is watering down their product a bit.
It's a mustard battle, a mustard war. One of those, I think it's Bertman's, also touts itself, right? Yeah, it is. The Bertman's, going back to the sugar-free, the gluten-free, right? I think that's on the bottle as well, gluten-free. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with these mustard companies, John.
Amen, Phil. A lot going on behind the scenes at these mustard companies. And in the case of the Bertmans, original ballpark mustard, and the authentic Stadium Mustard, bad mustard blood. Bad mustard blood. To be continued. Phil, I want to talk for a minute with you and with our friends here about a man named Michael Jordan and a sport called NASCAR. And a man named Michael Jordan as a co-owner of 2311 Racing for the last, 4 or 5 years. Co-owner, and a man named Michael Jordan growing up, loving racing, growing up, going to races at Charlotte, Talladega. Michael Jordan going to NASCAR races as he grew up, loved the sport. Says it all the time. Loved the sport. Always very fond of it. At Talladega, not this past weekend, the previous, he was, as you know, for the first time, special moment for the sport, special for Michael for many, many reasons, was in attendance at a race for the first time Michael Jordan, MJ 23, the man forever, was at a race when a car driven by his team, 2311 Racing, won a race. And if you didn't see it, friends, check out the clips from it. Look at Michael holding race-winning driver Tyler Reddick's young son in victory lane. Michael raving about the sport, raving about NASCAR, saying, I'm all in. And of course, anything Michael puts his stamp on, people pay attention. Instant credibility like nobody. And, by the way, he's loved the sport since he was a little kid going to races thanks to his parents. He was loving it, Phil. A beautiful thing to see. Michael Jordan loves his NASCAR.
Yeah, it was absolutely a beautiful thing to see. It's fantastic. I don't know, anybody who saw that had to come away just feeling not euphoric, but a warm heart, right? Right, John? Just
Yes.
it's beautiful to see. So, congratulations to Michael Jordan and the team.
Well said, Phil. Yes, a warm heart. Big congrats to Michael and 2311. And of course, quick notes, Michael's co-owner is badass driver Denny Hamlin. And really neat story. Check that out too if you don't know. But the way that they met, Denny was courtside seats at a Hornets game. Michael at the time was owner. And here you go. Curveballs galore in this. It's a beautiful thing. Talk about mutual big respect. Denny Hamlin, sitting courtside, NASCAR superstar, did not approach Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made a point to want to meet, and met Denny Hamlin. How about that, Phil?
That's awesome. Wow.
That led to them golfing together. Denny said Michael asked him at that time, years ago when they met, a lot about racing. The friendship turned into them playing golf together. Just a beautiful thing. Denny had been looking to be a team owner, and Michael said, essentially, if you want to make it real, let me know, and I'll come in. He comes in, partners with Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan NASCAR. Boom, Phil, boom.
Boom.
Michael could have come in. This is the best part, to me, the best part. Michael Jordan could have come in, brought some money, and been a ceremonial figure, almost like Pitbull is, in full respect. We are big Pitbull fans. Big.
Yes.
His role in ownership is a little different. It's banked heavily, leveraged, we'll say, right? Leveraged heavily on use of publicity, use of his brand, if you will. And nothing wrong with that. Big brand, big stuff. Love Pitbull. Michael, different story, Phil. Michael didn't just choose to partner with an existing top team. You know, he didn't just come in with Joe Gibbs Racing. He didn't just come in with Hendrick. He said, let's do this from scratch. He and Denny Hamlin started 2311 Racing from scratch. They leased the technology, motors, etc. Partnerships like that are commonplace from Joe Gibbs Racing. And they had a partnership with Toyota via Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs Racing. But how about this? Excuse me. Chokes me up, huh? Phil, where would you see this? Where else would you see this? Denny Hamlin is a driver for a competitor to a team he owns. He drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, a competitor to 2311 Racing, the team he owns. That, would not happen anywhere else. Phil, that'd be like Patrick Mahomes owning part of the Niners. You know, it just wouldn't happen. Well, actually, Patrick Mahomes does own the Niners, right? In a different way, right?
Yeah,
He's owned the Niners. Does that continue? Probably. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in that regard, on the field, Mahomes has owned the Niners. But from a financial perspective, ownership perspective, Mahomes playing for the Chiefs while he was an owner of the Niners, crazy stuff. Go find that for me somewhere else.
Yeah.
Driving for a competitor and owning a competitor, Phil.
Yeah. It's good
How
stuff.
about that? Michael Jordan and his love of NASCAR, and has said, again, if you haven't paid attention, dial up some of this. It's a beautiful thing. Michael's not going anywhere. He's in for a long stretch. In fact, they are figuring out that budget. They are doing the work. such to have a budget that then separates them completely from a technology standpoint, motor standpoint, from the relationship, the alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, and the amount of money it takes to start one of these teams out of the air, Phil. They had to purchase a charter, all the heavy, heavy duty costs that come with big time cup level NASCAR team ownership. I just think it's admirable, so admirable what Michael Jordan has done. When he could have strolled into the garage, Phil. He could have dropped some cash with one of the top teams, one of the usual suspects, going to victory lane, winning championships. He partnered with Denny Hamlin, and they built 2311 Racing from scratch. Amazing. Phil?
Amazing. Yep.
Yeah, just crazy. It'll take them a few years to be fully independent, but my bet there is absolutely they will do it. They'll figure it out. Phil, right? If Michael Jordan and in NASCAR, Denny Hamlin, if they can't figure it out, right? Who? Michael will figure it out.
Which, question for you, John. What do you think happened with Michael Jordan and the Charlotte Hornets? How'd that go south? What? It's Michael Jordan, right? He's going to crush it with NASCAR. I'd be interested in finding something out with it.
Didn't the Hornets win 3 in a row? NBA championships? Tell me they did. It was Michael. No.
It was 4, and then it came back.
4. They won 4 NBA titles in 5 years, right? When Michael... Yeah, no, great question, Phil. I don't know. I think you have to say bad moves. And again, I'm not saying Michael's bad moves, but, you're in the owner's seat. You're at the controls of it. I don't know. I don't know, but it didn't happen in a strong, positive way, did it, Phil?
No, but that is so cool to see with him and Denny Hamlin. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So continued success.
Amen, Phil. Continued success to Michael Jordan, hardcore NASCAR fan, lover of the sport. We'll talk more NASCAR too. You know of my affinity for it and my place in the sport. And when you're standing there sitting on a pit box, or you're standing there when that flag drops and you're as close to it as to almost reach out and touch it, if you haven't experienced it, you just have to, and you just don't know. And if you never saw, and I've told so many, you know this, Phil, because you've been with me.
Yep.
And I've told a lot of stick and ball friends, we'll say football, baseball, basketball, the whole thing, stick and ball. Come to a race, come to one race, put you right there, so close you can taste it, the smell, the feel, the energy that will shake you from head to toe, the incredible skill, fractions of seconds making all the difference, pit crew, driver, all the above. It is an incredible spectacle. And I dare say anybody that says, I sat in the grandstands one time 20 years ago and it was okay. We drank beer and put you right there, so close you can taste it, feel it. You're there looking at a pit stop close enough to reach over and touch it. You, by default, will be blown away forever. If you never go to another race, be blown away. But Phil, to bring this home, we're talking NASCAR horsepower, right? Serious engine horsepower. So to bring it all home, let's talk, bring it back to Derby week. We'll close it with Derby week. From horsepower on the track, NASCAR style, to thoroughbred, thundering horsepower at the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. Amazing. And those animals, 1,000 pounds moving at 40 miles an hour, heel to heel, insane. We heard Hall of Fame jockey Kent DeSormo share what it feels like to be at the controls of that. Won 3 derbies, won 3 Preakness, won a Belmont, missed a Triple Crown by a nose. Amazing stuff. We've covered some ground, Phil. We've covered some ground, and we're bringing it all home. Keep talking a better game, and we'll see you soon.